Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for LA County Library, and I welcome you to explore video chat apps. This program is supported in whole or in part by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provisions of the Library Services and Technology Act, administered in California by the State Librarian. And your presenter for today is me, Ole Kagan, once again, Community Engagement Coordinator for LA County Library and frequent presenter of digital literacy programs. I'm particularly interested in teaching people computers. It's something that I've been doing for quite a long time. And I very much enjoy helping beginners get more acclimated to the digital environment. There's so much out there when it comes to computers, and just like you, I'm also always learning. Sometimes when people ask questions during events like this, it gives me a reason to look deeper into something that maybe I have not looked into before. So if you ask me interesting questions today, that will give me a reason to learn. So don't hesitate to ask questions. So what we're going to be talking about today is video chat apps. I don't know if you all have experience using video chat apps. I know we're all looking at video right now via Zoom, and Zoom is an example of a video chat app. So I wonder, for those that have chat capability available, if you can place in the chat the kind of experience you have, or what video chat apps you know about or have experience with, like, dislike. Just curious who's out there and what you're interested in learning today. And we're going to be covering quite a variety of things about video chat apps. So we have somebody mentioned a little of Skype. Yeah, Skype has been a video chat app for quite a long time. It's one of the early apps that one would be able to use on your phone, on the computer, to chat with people all around the world. Supposed to that, I've used Zoom, Skype, Facebook Messenger, and VR platforms too. So you're probably ahead of the game with the VR platforms. We're not going to be covering VR platforms today, but they definitely are, moving on up as technology progresses. Somebody else said Skype, Zoom, Google Meet, Viber. Yeah, Google Meet is one that I myself use, not so much at work, but in my personal life on a fairly regular basis to video chat with people. As I mentioned, the Line app, Zoom, Meet, Zoom. Yep, absolutely. So Zoom is a big one, especially during the pandemic. Use of Zoom just skyrocketed. And in general, use of video chat apps has really increased. People who never even thought about chatting on the doing video chat on the phone or on the computer. It became a much more common thing during the pandemic. So thank you very much for answering the questions. And we've got a lot of Skypes, a lot of Zooms. So the description for today's program is staying in touch has never been easier. With video calls, we are now able to connect visually, enhancing our long-distance communication experience. Don't miss out on the chance for face-to-face interactions. So at any time, if you have questions during the presentation, please put them in the Q&A. I'm doing this program solo, so it's going to be hard for me to bounce between the chat and the Q&A. So if you have questions, place them there, and I'm going to cover them all at the end of the program, at least all the ones that I have the answers to. All right, so here are some common worries that people have with video chat apps. And the first one is absolutely understandable. If you've never used video chat apps and you're not that comfortable with computers or phones, the technical issues might be the biggest barrier for you with using video chat apps. So compared to something like just browsing the web, video chat requires a slightly stronger internet connection. Now, most internet connections will serve you well for video chat apps, especially now as the technology has progressed. But sometimes an internet connection can be a barrier. The sound and image quality can be challenging depending on that internet connection. And of course, just like with regular phone calls, dropped or failed calls can occur during video chats. But I think probably the biggest technical issue is just that tech barrier. How do you get on a video chat app? Which ones are the most popular ones? How do you use them? What don't you do on video chat apps? And we'll cover that today. Some other people worry about the video chat. It can be intrusive. People will be able to see what's behind you, your house, if you're walking around, or if you're somewhere out in the world, people will be able to hear both sides of the conversation and be able to see where you are. So that can definitely be a worry for some people. Privacy is a real concern. And then something that's perhaps even more private, something internal, is self-consciousness. We're used to talking on the phone or even sending text messages. And in those situations, people can't see us. They can't see our facial expressions. They can sometimes hear them through our voice, but they can't see them. So they don't know if we're wearing makeup, we're not wearing makeup, we get our hair done, what we're dressed in. People can't see that. And so if video chat is common and people expect it, then there's, for some people, a bit of trepidation, some self-consciousness around being on video, and that's also understandable. So with those downsides, then why use video chat apps? Well, I mentioned some reasons earlier. It gives people who can't be together in one place a visual means of communication. And while I'm the type of person who doesn't typically, or doesn't as often as some other people I know, use video chat in my personal life, in my work life, I work remotely often. So video chat is essential. I'll usually opt for a video chat rather than a phone call, because I like to see the people that I'm working with. And if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I feel much closer to that person if I'm able to see them. You can build better relationships with family, friends, colleagues, or even in a dating situation, because you're able to see their body language. You're able to see visual cues, context. Sometimes it's easy to misinterpret text if you send an email or a text message, or even if the person doesn't know you very well and you're speaking to them on the phone, to misinterpret a tone. But if you can see that person, then it's a little bit easier to gauge whether they're kidding, whether they're serious, whether something is lighthearted or not. So visual communication through video chat apps allows us to improve the way we communicate. For particularly the professional world, it allows companies to save time and money. If people don't have to travel to meetings, if you can meet virtually, then it saves people, workers can do more than they would otherwise, because they save this sometimes, well, in Los Angeles, like a 2-hour trip. My whole afternoon can be taken out if I have to go on site sometimes. But if I can just do it virtually through a video chat app, it saves a lot of time. Somebody wrote in the chat, chat apps make communication not only better, but even possible. For example, online education was not possible before chat apps. Certainly, absolutely. With large online classes and group classes, video chat apps have certainly made that more approachable. And of course, with programs that we have at the library, like Get Set Up, which runs through Zoom and is small classes on various topics, even digital literacy for older adults. Get Set Up is sort of almost an ideal example of the benefits that video chat apps have created for education. So I keep saying video chat apps, and in the chat, many of you mentioned the ones that you use. And I've got to say, there are so many options. Here are some icons that fit your screen, examples of popular video chat apps. And people have mentioned in the chat Viber, Zoom, Skype, FaceTime really brought video chat to the fore for folks with iPhones because it was built right into the operating system. And so many people who had iPhones all of a sudden had the experience of video chat without having to install anything new. And of course, Facebook Messenger, it's also just part of it. Um, there's a mistake on this slide. Whoops. The icon that says that's Teams says Telegram. I'm just highlighting our mistake. I shouldn't do that, but here we are. I need to fix my slide in the future. This is the Teams icon, Microsoft Teams, which we use in the county very frequently. And I'm on almost all day. This should say Teams. So anyway, the point is that there's quite a lot of options when it comes to video chat apps. Now, the good thing is that many of them, while having a variety of features, also have a lot of similarities. And that makes jumping from app to find out which is your preferred app all the more easier. So video chat apps can also work on many different devices. And what I have here, Amazon Echo Show, Google Nest, Meta Portal, which no longer sold, it was discontinued last November, are all essentially screens, specific screens for video chat through their platforms. So Google Nest, Google, Amazon Echoes through Amazon, Meta use the Facebook Messenger. But most people still use smartphones, tablets, and laptop computers for their video chat. And we have here laptops. Laptops now typically have a camera built in, but I'm on a laptop right now. So what I'm using right now is just a camera that's built in to my laptop. But if you want to use a computer and your computer, like a desktop computer, PC, those don't often come with a camera built in. And so you'd have to buy a camera at Best Buy or Amazon or somewhere and plug it in. It's usually a USB plug, which is a very standard plug. Plug it into the back of your computer and it'll just start working right away. So you'll be able to chat immediately with a, I don't know, $25 video webcam. The webcam can also cost $250 or more, but a very basic one works just fine. So there are many devices on which you can do video chat app. So let me tell you what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to be talking about getting started, which we have been already and will continue on. We're going to be looking at face-to-face or how to get on there, which you will see, how to send video messages, some ways to spice up your messages, making it fun. We're going to be talking just a little bit about end-to-end encryption, which many video chat apps have. And then we'll talk about how to choose the right app for you and some tips to get you going with video chat apps. So let's get right into getting started. So once you choose the video chat app that you're interested in testing out, some of them, like FaceTime, are built into iPhones, but most you'll have to find in your app store or on their website if you're going to be using your laptop computer. And you download it, which means you get it from the App Store, Play Store, or the website, and you install it onto your computer. And if you're on the phone, you'll get this screen. You'll have to register, and that'll typically include putting in basic information and then verifying your number or your email address. So here over here, this is, which app is this? Let's see. I think this is Google. This might be Google Duo. Yeah, Google Duo doesn't exist. Google Duo is now Google Meet, but it's essentially the same process. If you're installing that on your phone, they'll ask you to verify your phone number, and they'll probably send you a text message to your phone just to make sure it's yours. If you're using Skype, you'll have to enter a security code. So they'll text you a security code that you'll want to enter to verify that it's your phone. And then this is Viber. Viber will verify your email address. So either way, you'll verify something. And that's usually not a privacy issue because you're using it on your phone and they just need to know that your phone is your phone and you're not trying to pose as somebody else. Oh, speaking of webcams, somebody mentioned in our chat that some digital cameras can also be set up as webcams. Absolutely, you can connect them and go through them as a webcam. Yeah, same thing with digital cameras, camcorders can be used as webcams as well. Good point. I appreciate that comment. So the next step is once you've registered, once you've verified your device, you'll need to allow access, particularly if you're using your phone, but also if you're using your computer, depending on the computer that you have. Sometimes if the app is within a browser, which is what you use to surf the web, you'll need to give it access to either the camera, the microphone, the gallery, which is where your photos are stored on your phone, or all of the above. Typically, it'll be all of the above, just because, of course, if you're chatting on your phone, the app will need to use your camera. It'll need to use your microphone so people can hear you. And if you're going to be sharing pictures and other media with the folks in the app, the app will need to have access to your gallery. It'll need to be able to pull your photos from your gallery in order to be able to share them. Some apps will also ask you to share your contacts. Now, this is optional. A lot of this depends on whether you want to be chatting with people you already know, or meeting new people, or just using the app for very limited conversations. Or for instance, if you're going to be doing a single job interview on Skype, and that's all you're going to use it for, then there's no real reason for you to pull in all your emails, all your phone contacts, just to do a job interview. You don't need to share that with them. But if you're going to be using it as a general purpose communication tool, if a lot of your friends are already on these apps, or if you don't know if they're and you want to find out, then allowing them to have your contacts and then syncing contacts so it stays connected. And if you add somebody to your phone, it'll also add them to your contacts in Teams or in Viber or WhatsApp or whatever. You can do that. So then you can also, if you are an influencer among your friends, you can also get your friends onto these devices. You can send them an email saying with an invite link to whatever you're using. And once you've done that, you're pretty much ready to go. So the app will come on, and the next button you'll be looking for is the call button. And it usually looks something like this. Naturally, it's a camera because it's video chat. Some of them will also have a phone icon. I know that Microsoft Teams has this, and the phone icon is a non-video call, a traditional phone call. So if I was to call you but not use video through that app's network, then I would push the phone call. Sometimes you can do a phone call and then switch over to a video chat right during the same time. So if you're not sure whether your friend is going to be using video, then you can start with a phone call. And then you can mutually decide and agree whether you're going to be using video. All right. So you've pressed that button and you're going to be face to face with your colleague, friend, frenemy, maybe the job interviewer. And this is what that looks like in many apps. This is a group chat. So you can choose with many apps to have group chats. You can have multiple people on at the same time, or you can do one-on-one. So here we see Adriana, former Make-Mo librarian or Maker Mobile librarian, chatting with this beast over here. I'm not sure what this beast's name is, but even animals can get on video chat if they choose. And then here's a video chat with former Make-Mo Martin, Lawrence, and Adriana. And I think this one here is on Teams. And then when you have that screen, you have the option to change the way that it looks on most video chat apps. So you can either have yourself here as in a small window so you can see yourself. Usually when I'm in video chat apps, I like to have myself on the right hand side or somewhere, so that because while we're used to on the phone not being able to see ourselves, or if we're, in traditional video environment, we're just looking at the camera and not seeing what we look like. But with video chat, we can also see what we look like. So I always have my little video chat box on the right hand side, and so I can look over anytime, and I can see what I look like. I can see what you're seeing. You can also move that box around. I like to have when I'm presenting programs, I like to have my little video window of myself over all the way on the right hand side. But if I want to, I can move it right in the middle of the screen. It wouldn't be convenient because it would cover my presentation, but I can do it. And when you're on your phone, you can do that as well. So here, Adriana has moved her window with her own video over to the middle left-hand side. Of course, you can also turn those off. And when you're in it, you can make it bigger, smaller, and you can adjust the way your video looks. So if, for instance, I wanted to change some video settings, so even on Zoom, I think I could do it live. So I can make myself way brighter, make myself lighter, so I can adjust for the lighting. Right now I have a lot of lighting coming from this side, and I can't, it's even when I adjust for low light all the way down with Zoom, it doesn't adjust for this much light coming all in the same direction. You can also touch up appearance. So I don't know if it's showing live, but I'm adjusting my settings on Zoom right now. So it's smoothing out my face, and now it's getting a little bit more textured. You can choose to mirror your video, so that it's sometimes it's disorienting when people see you on the other side and you're seeing yourself. And so I usually choose to mirror my video. There's a variety of other settings you can have, including background. Since I sometimes work in different places and present from different places, I'll usually have the library background on. So, explore the theme of these programs, explore. LA County Library, we have a branded background. So you can choose to have your background. You can choose to blur the background if you don't have a image to use. That's what a lot of people do if they don't want people to see what's in their house. Or you can use an image of some exotic locale, or I don't know, maybe if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, you could have Middle Earth in the background. There are various options for backgrounds. You can also change your video for your video to be the primary video. So you see yourself big and you see the person you're talking to small. And I guess some people do that if they really want to see what they look like, or if they just want to spot check something about their video, they can make theirs bigger. So those are all options. When it comes to viewing that initial video window, many video apps are also video chat apps. So you can chat using video, and you can also chat using text or media. So the way that you do it in this app here is, and this is, I believe this looks like this looks something like Google Meet, but I'm not totally certain. So here there'll be a little icon somewhere on the screen. Here it's on the top left-hand side that'll have a speech bubble or something similar to that. And you'll click on that and it'll minimize the chat with the video window, and you'll get a chat screen. So you can share images and emojis. And so you can at the same time be on video with somebody and chatting with them. It's a little bit cumbersome on the phone, but it's absolutely possible. With apps like Teams, apps that are used for work, that'll often be an option in Zoom. So for those of you who are on your phone now, you can contribute in the chat as well as listening to my presentation and seeing my slides. And that's an important aspect of using video chat apps. Now, some video chat apps don't have that at all, and some just have a kind of chat interface where you send videos. And that moves us to our next section, which is sending video messages. So video messages are a combination of video chat apps and asynchronous communication. And asynchronous, of course, means not at the same time. So a video message is like a text message, but it's a video. So you record a video from your device and you send it as an attachment within a chat window. And some people find that it's easier for them to do that rather than type, especially if it's a long message, typing it all out. You might be talking for a minute, and you typing all that out is going to take many, many paragraphs. But if you want to record yourself saying what you're going to say, you can send that. It's almost like a video voicemail. And it'll come up something like this. And here's Adriana recording a video message. It'll reduce miscommunication. And then there's apps like Marco Polo, where video messages is what it's for. Many people use Marco Polo either to chat with individuals, but even more, people use it to have a video group chat that's asynchronous. So there'll be a lot of people that are part of a group, and you'll send a video and it'll go to all those people. And so people will send messages back to each other. Many families keep up with each other using Marco Polo in this way. There are a lot of friends groups that do. I've had colleagues who would send Marco Polo messages to their friends during their breaks. And, whatever's, how's your workday going? Something as simple as like, how's your workday going? And then their friends will say, it's going, they'll see them in like a 5 or 10-second video. My workday is going great. Or, oh no, another meeting, this kind of thing. Marco Polo is a fun app to use in that situation. So if that's the kind of use case that you're interested in, keeping up with friends, but not necessarily synchronous communication, not having a video call or speaking at the same time, then Marco Polo may be the kind of app that you'll find interesting, fun, and useful. Speaking of fun, many of these apps make video chat fun. My son is a big proponent of doing fun stuff on video chat. So you can make with FaceTime, Viber, and Google Meet, with other apps too. You can put an overlay on your face. So the phone will use augmented reality to put an image over your face. And when you open your mouth, the shark's mouth will open. There'll be a little various things floating around. You can give yourself deer antlers and some kind of ears. You can have snowflakes all around you. There's some apps that'll also let you doodle with your friends. So here, this beast is doodling with Adriana. It looks like they're drawing a dinosaur together. So those are all options for, some live fun. For those of us who are very serious, they're looking at this and like, why would I ever do that? And then there are others of us who go, this is what I want to download video apps for, so I can chat with my grandson and have fun putting weird faces on us, on overlays of sharks and pigs and moose. I almost said meese, but that's not right. Putting horses or in space helmets and things like that. So here's some other examples of things you can do on Zoom. Instagram, like alien faces. There's a pirate. So here's Martin talking to somebody who has a parrot. It's an example of Snapchat. I think there are also games that exist where you can play live games with people on video chat. And here is other examples on Marco Polo Snap. So I said, some of these apps will let you do this, but a lot of them do. So you can, even as something as simple as just putting text on the screen or drawing a little overlay on yourself. There are options. So if this is something that you're interested in, then that's what you're going to be. Those are the features that you're going to want to try out when you try different apps. Which ones give you the most fun options? Speaking of options, there are a great many options, and I realize that this table is much too small for most of us to see, so I'm just going to give you a really quick overview of what it has, and then when we share this presentation with you after the fact in an email, then you can really zoom in on the PDF portable document format. So on the file where the slides are going to be, you can zoom in and you can examine this. Now, of course, this was made last year, so these apps are changing all the time. So some of them add features, take away features, change features. So some of this may not be precisely accurate, but it's worth at least getting a sense of what you might be looking for. So here is a list of the different apps, and here are the different options for features. So video accessories, background. So some of these apps allow you to have a background, some don't. So like WhatsApp doesn't allow you to have a background, but Zoom enables blur. I know Microsoft Teams, does let you have a background. Facebook Messages does let you have a background, and the rest don't. Video filters are those fun things that I was just showing you, where you can put text on the screen, overlay things on your face. So different apps have filters, some don't. Sound filters. So apparently Marco Polo allows you to do voice effects on your phone. So when you're sending a video to your group of friends, you could sound like a robot or whatever voice effects they have. Screen share. So screen share is exactly what it sounds like. So it's what I'm doing right now. I'm sharing my screen with you so you can see my presentation. So some of these apps, they're not made for a professional environment, so there's rarely a need for screen share. But if you're you're volunteering for a nonprofit, or you're running something outside of work where you're going to need a lot of people to see the same thing, or if you're at work and you need to share a screen and all go off the same document, then having screen sharing is useful. So many apps that are used in the workplace have screen sharing. So here we've got Zoom, Skype, Microsoft Teams, of course, has screen sharing, and many of these other ones don't allow screen sharing. And then there's Live Doodle. That's the one where you draw on the screen together. Marco Polo has that. Google Meet has that, but a lot of the other ones don't. Although when I'm presenting, I could theoretically draw on my screen. But I think that I'm not sure if I can let other panelists draw, or let attendees draw on the screen. Maybe Zoom now has that available, but I'm not totally sure. Like I said, these change all the time. All right, so getting towards the back end of the presentation. So if you have your questions, be sure to launch them into the Q&A. There's already a few, I know, and I'm happy to cover them if I can after the presentation. So if you have got things at the top of your head, you can just throw them in the Q&A. So speaking of video confidential, and we talked about encryption a little bit, and the nice thing about companies that make these video chat apps is that a lot of them know that you want to keep your conversations private. Now, even if the app is not encrypted, the chances of somebody hacking into your phone conversation, if they don't hack your phone or your email or something, is fairly low. These companies have millions of conversations going on at any one time, so the idea of random employees looking at your conversation seems very, very low. This is not a strong probability of that happening. But if you are worried about that, and if you want your conversations to be private, many of these apps are end-to-end encrypted, which just means that your device and the device of the person you're talking to have special keys, a public and private key, that they share through the system, and only the devices with those keys are able to interact and see the messages, sort of unlock the messages. And you'll know that the app is encrypted because many of them will actually tell you. So here Viber has a message, and it says messages in this chat are private and protected by Viber Viber's end-to-end encryption. There's a learn more link so you can learn more about how it works. This is WhatsApp. Messages and calls are end-to-end encrypted. No one outside of this chat, not even WhatsApp, can read or listen to them. Tap to learn more. And then this here is Signal. Signal is a privacy-based text messaging app. And so it's end-to-end encrypted as part of its whole mission. So the text messages are end-to-end encrypted, and you can also do video chat on Signal. And here is the way that they make sure that the devices are synced and are going to be encrypted is it says here, there's these emojis here, and it says if these emojis are the same on Adriana's screen, this call is 100% secure. So then you guys will talk and see if their emojis are the same, and then you can be assured that it's safe. All right, so now let's get to choosing the right app. And once again, I'm going to throw a table onto the screen. That's going to be hard to see and big. And as you may understand, the reason for that is that there's so many apps and they have so many different options, and they fit whatever one's need is. So again, on the left side here, we have the list of apps, and then on top we have various features. So the way that this is the registration, the way you need to register. Most of them are you register with your phone number. Some of them are also with your email. FaceTime is iPhone. It just comes with your iPhone. You don't have to register for that at all. Which one of them offers live chat? Most of them do, except for Marco Polo. Well, all of them do, except for Marco Polo. Video messages. So all of them, this is video chat apps. So naturally, all of them have little X's here. They all offer video chat, except for there's a little asterisk by Marco Polo because the videos aren't live. They're asynchronous. The maximum number of participants. So most of these apps will let you do group chats. Actually, all of them will let you do group chats, but some of them will let you do group chats with 200 people. So in Marco Polo, you can have a group of 200 people that you're shooting your messages to. It's going to be a lot of videos flying back and forth. Zoom Free has an option of 100. That may have changed. Zoom has changed over time. Microsoft Teams, just a basic platform lets you have 100 people in a meeting, although I think that's also expanded. FaceTime lets you have 32 people at once. Facebook Messenger lets you have 8 people at once. So as you can imagine, it varies. And then whether that app is available in a web browser. So Marco Polo, for instance, is just on the phone. Instagram is just on the phone. Snapchat is just on the phone. FaceTime is, of course, just on the iPhone. The rest of these have phone apps as well as web browser apps, so you can use them within Windows and Mac OS. I presume some of them are also available on Linux. So whatever your operating system is, for many of them, you can also use them within the web browser. And then enhanced features is the kind of things that we talked about, the filters, etc. All of them have some sort of enhanced features, and then all of them have end-to-end encryption. Okay, and now we're getting to the very end of the presentation, and we're at the point where I'll give you a little bit more tips on how best to utilize video chat apps. So if you haven't used video chat apps, or you haven't used them at work, or if you're most just speaking one-to-one with somebody where you never really have to turn your camera or your microphone off, I will tell you that if you're in a meeting with multiple people, then the best practice is to mute your microphone at the very least when you're not talking. That way, your background sounds, any kind of mouth noises that you make that aren't speech won't come through in the meeting. So if there's, especially if there's like 10, 12, 30 people in a meeting, if everybody has their microphones on all the time, there'll be all this background noise and it'll be disturbing. So the best thing to do is just, if you're not going to be talking, turn your microphone off. Turn your microphone off. If you want to turn your video off, as for instance, if the meeting is going really slow or your computer is going slow, sometimes turn your video off is the best thing to do. And usually it'll just be an avatar. Like if I turn my video off, I put an image, and so you'll usually see an image. Now I'm sharing my screen now, so I just disappear. But if I wasn't sharing my presentation, then you just see a picture of me. So yeah, muting your camera and video. So with some of the apps, if you just need to cut in to say something really quickly, there will be a keyboard shortcut. You press the space bar and it'll unmute you, and then you lift your hand up from the space bar and it'll mute you again. So it'll let you cut in very, very quickly rather than have to go and find the icon and click on it and click on it again. They know that there are people just sometimes need to say something quickly and then be muted again. We talked about, muting your camera, muting your microphone. And the reason for that is that there are distractions out there. Sometimes, if we're at home, there's somebody mowing their lawn across the street or next door, and that lawnmower is so loud. Oftentimes microphones will pick that up. and if you don't have headphones. So this is not on here, but I always use my headset whenever I'm doing a video chat, just because even when there's nobody around me, I feel like there's too much noise pollution already, and I want to keep whatever's coming in just in my ears. And also, even though my laptop has a pretty good microphone, I like my microphone to be right here because that also sometimes limits the distractions that are coming, the audible distractions. So if there's somebody outside, if there's, a door slammed somewhere in the building, that won't, so my laptop microphone, because it's picking up a lot of ambient noise, it has more likelihood of picking that up. Whereas my microphone here is pretty much just focused on my mouth here, and it'll pick up what I'm saying. We also, there's a tip, and I, pointed to Explore before. Explore is the theme of all of these programs. Use more than one app. Each app has its own strengths and weaknesses. So depending on what you need, you might find it beneficial to use more than one app. Moreover, different people use different apps. So if you have various friend groups or individuals that use different apps, you may need to use those apps to talk specifically to them because they're not on the app that, friend B uses. We talked in the beginning about internet connections. Most people won't have to worry about slow connections. The typical internet, even the slowest connection that, for instance, Spectrum will give you, something like 3 megabits per second, enough for most video chat, unless you're trying to bring in like a super crisp, clear camera with pristine quality. In that situation, the internet connection may matter. But if you're just doing even this presentation here, it's not required that I have the world's fastest internet connection. Your typical home internet connection will be just fine. And then finally, video chat is a transition that many people made during the pandemic, but not everybody. And if you haven't made the transition or really aren't that interested in video chat, maybe have a little bit of nervousness, anxiety involved with whether it's just being on video or the technology, wait until you're ready. There's no rush to start. These video chat apps are not going away. They're only increasing in abundance of features, abundance of apps, and abundance of users. So if you wait, your friends might all be on there already, and then they can usher you in and teach you how to use the apps. So sometimes there's a benefit to waiting. Okay, that does it for the primary part of my presentation. Of course, we're the library, so we have tons of resources on digital etiquette and even on specific messaging apps, though we don't have that many books on, for instance, like just Facebook Messenger, because it's only one app and there's probably not a book length amount of information on it. But these books, the books on the screen, Emily posts Manners in a Digital World, Living Well Online, How to Win Friends that Influence People in the Digital Age, and Kill, Reply All, a modern guide to online etiquette from social media to work to love, will have various etiquette tips for how to do well when it comes to video chat, email, and much more in the digital environment. And if you have questions about this or anything else, books, just things you're wondering about, you can always call and speak to your local librarian during the just call them on the phone during their open hours. You can also text the library Monday through Friday, 12 to 6 p.m. The number's listed on the slide there. You can email the library. And we have a live chat feature Monday through Friday, 12 to 6. It's called Instant Librarian, and you can access that by going to lacountylibrary.org/contact us, or when you go to our library website, lacountylibrary.org, you could scroll all the way down and there's a contact us link. And of course, you can get in touch in a variety of ways. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm easy to reach too. I'll send you a follow-up email. You can email me back. And for various folks that are on this call here, we think we've interacted by email. So feel free, if you have questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and email me. And to conclude, this event was supported in whole or in part by the U.S. Institute of Museum and Library Services under the provisions of the Library Services and Technology Act, administered in California by the State Librarian. In case you missed that at the beginning, I want to say it again because we are grateful for the California State Library and IMLS for funding this program. And now, my favorite part of this morning and all of our digital literacy programs, the Q&A. So I'm going to turn off my presentation and I'm going to see what questions you have for me. Okay, the first question is, what's your recommended app for Europe? I'm leaving in 2 weeks. You know, the thing that I would be concerned about is your phone's data plan more than the specific app. I think a lot of these apps will work around the world, but video tends to use more data. So you want to make sure that your phone has a data plan that works internationally. And so you're not going to be charged a bundle for using a lot of data overseas. So I would give your phone company a call to check what they have, what your data plan is for internationally. It may not be the same as what you get in the States. Likewise, the service, the quality of the connection may not be the same depending on where you're going in Europe. And so you might also ask them or look on their website to see the map of the coverage area. So if there's a very slow connection, then doing video chat is probably not going to be a good idea. But some of these apps also allow for text. So for instance, I know a lot of people use WhatsApp and you can do that for text. So yeah, you can also look up on the individual app's website whether they're active in Europe, but many of them are active overseas. Have you heard of VR chat? So I've heard of VR chat. VR stands for virtual reality, of course. And there are a variety of virtual reality applications that let you chat. I know that, within, for instance, the masks that you put on like an Oculus, which is made by Meta, and there's a variety of other VR headsets that you can put on. And then within those headsets, there are spaces that you can go to, as kind of metaverses or multiverses or, VR world where you can chat with people and you have an avatar and you can communicate with people using VR chat. So I'm familiar with that. And there are various of these multiverses or metaverses out there. And what that is, they're just different software programs where people can go in and chat using their avatars and having some physicality. So long answer to short, have you heard of VR chat? Yes, I have. Do you know anything about Slack? Yes. So I've used Slack before. Slack is a synchronous and asynchronous text and media-based communication tool that a lot of people use at work and beyond work too. So it's often used at work just because it's usually for a larger group, whereas a lot of the apps that we talked about today are one-to-one, one-to-few. So a group of friends might use one of the apps, video chat apps we talked about today. Slack is typically used for a company or like a large, for a team. And in a Slack, you have chat communication. Sometimes it's organized in various chat rooms. There's various places you can go to chat. So you can have a private chat with somebody. You can have a group chat. You can post images in there. There's various features that allow for this. There's like scheduling, things like that are useful at work. You can either chat live or you can leave a message for somebody and they can get back to you. It'll look like a chat, but it'll actually be, it'll be asynchronous. So Slack is neat. I like it. I've used it, and if the features of it are interesting to you, then I recommend it. Go to their website, look at what it looks like, and if it appeals to you, yeah, Slack's great. How do you put other backgrounds on your video chat? So it's usually within the video settings. So on Zoom, for instance, there's the microphone or the mute button. You can do sound settings, so you can adjust how loud the microphone is. And then right next to it, there's a video, and there's a little caret that points up, and you click on that, you open the video settings, and there's a place that says virtual backgrounds. So it's pretty similar in other apps as well. In the settings, which is on the phone, particularly, usually a little gear, you click on that and there'll be a video settings area where you can change your virtual background. And virtual backgrounds are essentially just images that you place behind, and then the system, the camera, and the app will highlight a person. So it's not perfect. So you can see through back here that, you can kind of see what I just a wall back there. So you can see the wall back there. And so it's not exactly right. I think if you look closely, it's not going to hide that I'm using a virtual background. But of course, whose wall looks like this? So usually, if sometimes people want to engage in subterfuge at work and pretend like they're working at home when they're not working at home and use a background, but that's not a good idea because virtual backgrounds aren't perfect. Can you recommend a video chat app that has dress wear you would find in different countries I'm traveling to? I cannot. I don't think that any video chat apps are made specifically for that. So yeah, I'm not, maybe it's possible that I don't understand the question. Do you mean that we'll have an augmented reality part that will like put a costume on you that looks like it's from another country? In that situation, I think most apps won't their AR aspect is not that deep. They probably won't have that specific of masks and things for you. Which free app allows the longest time for nonprofit group meetings? I'm limited to 40 minutes on Zoom. I don't think that Google Meet has a limit. I don't think that Skype has a limit. A lot of these don't have a limit. So Zoom, because it's not so much made as a video chat app, it's made for an all-purpose kind of video environment. So Zoom has meetings, it's made to schedule, so they want people to pay for if you're going to use it for business purposes. But I would try Google Meet. It's not as fully featured as some of the other apps. It's a lot more simple, but I don't think that there's a time limit. At least I've never encountered a time limit when I've had meetings with multiple people on Google Meet. Do both people need to be using the same app at the same time for the video call, or can you use two different apps? You need to be using the same app because it's sort of like, if you want to meet somebody at a certain gas station, you can't both be at a different gas station. You have to be at the same gas station. So you've got to use the same app because it's the same pipeline. Can a private chat be saved without your permission and later shared with others? So yes, that is possible. So just like with a phone call, somebody could technically just use an add-on to their phone, or a microphone next to the phone where it's on speakerphone to record the phone, record the phone call. Similar things can happen with video chat apps, even if they're end-to-end encrypted. But what you're essentially doing is just putting the recording on top of whatever the app you're using. So within the app, it's end-to-end encrypted. But if somebody's, for instance, recording my presentation here with a phone, even if it was end-to-end encrypted, you're recording a video of the video happening. So it's possible to do. Usually the quality is not as good as what you would get from within the app, but yeah, no, it's definitely possible. Okay, so let's see, I'm looking. So if you have any other questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. I'm going to look in the chat to see if I've missed any questions. I think I have. I think there's a few questions in the chat that I have not had a chance to cover. How can I share my screen and show a photo in Skype on my iPad? So if Skype has a chat feature, then what you might do is you might post that photo within the chat of your call. That's probably the easiest way. I don't know if Skype has screen sharing. So in that situation, you wouldn't be able to share your iPad screen directly. You'd have to grab the photo and kind of attach it into the chat. So I think that was that question. How do you select to use a saved photo or screenshot and use it as a virtual background? So it's essentially the same as attaching a photo to an email. When you go to the video settings in your app, it'll let you have a pre-created selection of backgrounds. Most of the apps will have some sort of backgrounds. Also, there'll be a blur feature so you can blur your background if you want to. And then there will also be a place where you can click, or in your phone, you would tap to choose a file from your device. And you just choose a photo from your device. Sometimes it will, in the phone especially, it'll default to the gallery where your photos are. On the computer, you'll have to find where that photo is. If it's, for instance, on your desktop, you click on your desktop and you would, from within the app, and you'd just double click that photo and it would show as a background. The thing you want to make sure with your backgrounds though, is that it has to be big enough. So if it's like a little tiny photo, it's going to stretch out. When your background is going to look very strange. It's going to be pixelated. People aren't going to be able to tell what it is. So it has to be big enough to cover the background. So any photo that you could safely use as a wallpaper for on your computer or your phone, they'll work as a background. It should be though, if it's on your phone, it's more important that it's vertical, whereas on your computer, it's more important that this photo, for example, is oriented horizontally. So if it was like this, then it would also stretch it out. Okay, let me see what else I have here. Oh, my table says Skype has screen sharing. It's possible. I haven't used Skype in a pretty long time. So if Skype has screen sharing, then there may be an option for you to actually share your iPad screen. Oftentimes, I don't know how screen sharing works on tablets or phones. It may not work in the same way. On your computer, it would be just like on Zoom, where I just press the share screen button to select whether I want to share my whole screen or just a specific app. So in this, like when I do my presentations, I only share Microsoft PowerPoint because you don't need to see all the other stuff that I have open. But on the phone, it may not work the same way. There may not be an option on the phone. Sometimes the capabilities of phones and PCs or laptops are quite different. So on the phone, with the Skype app on the phone, there may not be screen sharing, but if there is, then yeah, I would imagine it would work essentially the same way. Okay, quite another question came in. Did you mention a way I could talk with video to my 7-year-old grandchild safely? She can't use the internet. Used to be able to choose camera mode during the Android call, but that changed with the new phone and requires other person to join internet site. So it will be over, it will be over some kind of connection. Android does have a video chat, but it's usually, so I don't know if it has it within. If I have an Android phone, I'm gonna look at it really quickly to see how it works now. But I think when you make a call, there is a video chat there's still a video chat option. It might move over, if it's an Android, it might move over to Google, it might take you over to Google Meet. And that in that case, you'll have to give your phone permission to use the video, use the microphone, which is what I talked about in the beginning during the registration process. So I would say that your best bet would be to have your grandchild's parents install, if it already isn't on the phone, Google Meet, and then just use that to chat. That's probably the safest way, because it doesn't take you to the internet or anything. You're just using the app to chat. Okay, I'm gonna wait just another second to see if anybody else has other questions. And then while I do that, I'm gonna humbly request that you fill out our post-event survey. If you've gone to these programs before, you know that I always ask for folks to fill out our survey, and I'm going to send you a link to that in just a moment. It'll also appear when we close the window here. So either way, you can click on it now and fill it out, or you can click on it later to fill it out. Either is okay. Here is I'm going to find my chat box here. And so here's a link to the survey. It only has a few questions and it helps us make these programs better. The very last question is the most important one to me, or actually maybe the last two, but the last one really, it's what you'd like us to cover in the future, because that's what we use to figure out the subjects for what we want to cover. Most of our programs have come from suggestions from you because we're doing these programs for you. So if you have a topic that you want us to cover, put it in the survey. Question came in, can I learn more about using Signal on an Android phone? Using Signal is the same as using your other, the Messenger app that's built in. I think it's with Android phones, it's called Messages. The icon has two little blue speech bubbles. I have both Signal and Messages on my Android phone. So with some people that have Signal, I use Signal. With some people that have Messages or other text messaging apps, I use Messages. So all you have to do is go to the Play Store, or in the case if you're using an iPhone, you go to the App Store, you find Signal, and it's called something like Signal Text Messages or something like that. It's a little blue speech bubble. And you download it. And when you open it, it'll usually go through the registration process, and it'll ask if you want to make Signal your default text messaging app. And you click yes. Now, the downside initially is that all those messages that you've had before that you were sending with people using the other app will not be in Signal. So you'll kind of be starting fresh with your text messages. If that doesn't matter to you, then that's fine. But you can also still have that other messaging app on the phone at the same time. So regardless of which one you're using mostly, you can still have both. So for instance, these days I use Messages as my default app. That's the one that came with the phone, and I have Signal, and I speak to just a few people with Signal. So for instance, my brother has Signal, and I always use Signal to text with him. So that's the main way. If you want to learn more about it, you can go find Signal in the App Store and you read more about it, or you can go to their website. I'm going to find out what their website is because I don't remember offhand what it is. It's going to take me a second to find it. So it's actually just signal.org. I'm going to post the link in the chat. It says speak freely in large letters right on the front of the page. There we go. Thank you for your question. Okay. Well, I think we've reached time. I'm going to give it just one more minute. If you've got that last burning question, or even if it's just a simmering question, I'm fine with that. Do post it in the chat or the Q&A. I have my one eye on the chat, one eye on the Q&A at this point, and just my nose facing the camera. All right. Since there are no questions, I will hopefully see you where our next week's program is actually going to be canceled. But I'll see you the following week. And at that point, we have, let me see what we have coming up for you in 2 weeks. So we're not going to do Explore Artificial Intelligence next week. We're going to postpone that one, and it'll be well worth it when it happens. It's going to be a great program. We just need a little bit more time to work on it. On April 27th is Navigating Banking Apps. So if you're interested in banking apps, we'll do an overview of banking apps, just like we did an overview of video chat apps today. I'm going to post information about that right in the chat. If you want to register for that, you can do that right away, or you can wait for the email to come into your inbox. We send the newsletter out every Thursday. If you're a library card holder and you have your email in our system, you will get the email with, of course, all of the events we have coming up virtually. And the Navigating Banking apps will be on that, so you can register for that now or later. It's free, as are all programs. And with that, I thank you for spending time with me, allowing me to tell you about video chat apps, asking all your wonderful questions, and just being curious about digital literacy. I will see you next time.